Hello, everyone. Tamara, hello, and welcome to the Hotel Marketing Live Show. Thursday again here live on LinkedIn, or maybe you're watching the replay on LinkedIn or on YouTube channel. Amazing having you here. Hello, Tamara.
Hello, Marette. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here in the hotel marketing space, hanging out. This is my favorite hangout on a Thursday, I have to tell you.
Thank you so much. So today it's all about a super important topic. It's about frequently asked questions by hoteliers on digital marketing. Now, what do we mean by frequently asked questions? These could be questions that marketers ask, but it also could be questions that hoteliers have for digital marketing. Yeah. So these are really, you can say almost, I want to say basic questions, but these are questions that keep coming up all the time, right? So maybe we would like to start with a question of where shall we even start when it comes to digital marketing? Tamara, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, this is a good one. Where to start with digital marketing? So, all right, it depends on where your hotel is, right? So, if you're a hotel that's already established, you really want to start with research. You want to start by researching and assessing your online presence, right? What does your website look like? What does your social media look like? Evaluate and audit those profiles. You also want to look at your competition and evaluate and audit their profiles, see what they're doing better. Understand what you could do better. Pull together an audit, and from that audit, you can come up with some really strategic recommendations and findings, things that you can implement right away. If you're a hotel that's just starting off, you really want to lean into market research and you want to lean into the competition. What is your competition doing really well? You can actually look at those things, build a plan from there, and then find ways to differentiate yourself. So always start off with the research when it comes to where to start with digital marketing. The numbers really matter.
Numbers really matter, and I think it can be very overwhelming. Let's say for a junior marketer, someone who's maybe, or someone who's not really junior but is working on a first-time project, like right. For instance, when it comes to hotel openings, this is a very special project, right? So it's not your usual just hotel marketing business as usual. There are some things that you really need to consider. So we do get here this question very often: is like where to start, right?
Right.
So I really like your point. Now, similar to this, let's see which else do we want? Okay, this one. How can I collect data for campaigns like digital communications campaigns? Now, this is one that we hear quite often because we know data is very important, and you just mentioned it right now, is looking at the numbers. And to look at the numbers and to see if something works, you need to also collect data so that you can use it, right? And it can be for email campaigns, it can be for newsletters, it can be for, you can use it in so many ways. One way I think is very good, and it's maybe the most obvious, but sometimes things that might seem obvious aren't that obvious, is a pop-up on your website, for instance, right? Asking for an email for a newsletter, or asking for an email. For instance, you can have a pop-up for a lead magnet. Hotels don't use lead magnets very often. I very, very rarely use lead magnets, yeah? Whereas you can get so many interesting ideas for lead magnets and to collect, right, data. I read that for people to give you their email, they need to have something of at least $15, $20 value, right? Which is interesting enough. So you have to give them something of value. Now, for hotels, when it comes to data, interesting thing is that if they have already booked a stay at your hotel, you already have your email address. So the question is mostly for you. They haven't stayed with you, but you still want their email address so that you can liaise with them. Or you want their phone number, which is trickier because phone number feels very intimate. Yeah, it says my number, and you're going to contact me, spam me with text messages. It's not to spam; it's to communicate and to inform. So one way to do it is by having a pop-up on your website, so when people are there. Another way, if let's say you have their email addresses, you want their phone numbers in your newsletter, you can say sign up here with your phone number so that we can also communicate through this other channel, which they might prefer. My favorite way of collecting data is, let's say you have diners in your restaurants And you can have the card where you actually ask for, or email or your phone number. So these are people who did check out your hotel. Maybe they've tried the spa, they've tried the restaurant, but they didn't book a room. So you don't immediately, have their contact data. How does this sound, Tamara?
I love that. That's a great way to collect that information. And a lot of it can be digitized as well, too, right? Because if they're in the spa, it's really about them just checking and adding their email. Email collection is really important. You can even add the data and email collection to the social media side, right? Where's that call to action? Maybe on a link tree that says, hey, sign up to receive this. And I love the idea of a lead magnet for a hotel, right? It's not something that's traditionally done, but that could be something that really differentiates you and gives the people a little bit of a taste of the hotel ahead of time. So I really love that idea. So
The
collecting,
lead magnet could also not be related to your hotel. It could be
right?
related to destination or something different. You can also surprise them. They wouldn't expect you as a hotel to put a lead magnet only, for instance, the skincare tips, right? It could be that they have a spa and their spa therapist has shared some skincare tips for the summer. That could be a lead magnet, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Leading back to some product in the hotel. There's so many options there. So I love this idea. I'm like, let's add that to our list of great ideas, Miranda. Hotel lead magnets. If I were in the comments, that's what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many things that hotels don't use that
Right.
I'm not saying it's easy to execute, but that's why we are here. We're here to help. We're
Right.
not saying it's easy. Nothing is easy. Otherwise, we would not be doing our jobs. Not saying it's easy, but there are things that work, right? And there are so many possibilities, right? So it's easy, but no, it can be done, and it can be done in a way that benefits your marketing campaigns. Now, this is a nice question we hear very often from many hoteliers is, do we need to be everywhere? Do we need to be on all social channels? Do we need to be everywhere? Because it is overwhelming. Tamara, would you like to take this one?
It's so overwhelming, right? And the answer is no. So my recommendation is always get all the channels, right? You want to make sure you have the brand name for it, the hotel name for it, but you don't need to activate everything. Firstly, you want to understand where's your target audience and where are they hanging out, right? This is another area you can go to the competition to understand where are they as well, right? The more research you do and you understand where the people are coming in, that's where you want to focus. You really want to focus on the channels where you are getting the maximum revenue and really, I like to say 100% utilization, right? Make sure you're maximizing usage so that you can get the most from those channels. And later on, as you grow, you can slowly add things in. One of the recommendations I have for people all the time, one of the things people don't like to manage sometimes a YouTube channel. I'm like, that's no big deal. Have the YouTube channel, add a video or two, link it back to your website. As you're growing your YouTube, every time you add a video, you're growing the YouTube channel. You're getting views and you're getting follows, but it's not this thing that you have to spend all your energy on. And slowly but surely, it can, you will have that. Repurpose other content, for instance, on something like if Instagram isn't your platform, your main platform or channel, just maybe use some repurposed content there. Something like Pinterest, use repurposed content there. But make sure and find those places where your target audience, where they are, and that's where you want to be. You do not have to be everywhere. It is a lot of work. And repurposed content is a great solution. If you feel like you need to be in every space, think about repurposing.
Absolutely. I fully agree. Focus on maybe two channels that for you are super important. There can be a third channel that's okay, you're on there from time to time, and then other channels you may ignore, or you can just leave aside until you have the resources, right? But I do think something you just mentioned in your reply is that you do want to secure your handles everywhere, right? So if you're called Hotel XYZ Paris, you want to have Hotel XYZ Paris on all channels, even if you do nothing with it for the time being. Yeah.
100%.
The last thing you want is someone to steal it, right?
Right. And then squat there, right? Because that's what they'll do and they'll charge you for it. So you definitely want to secure all your handles.
Absolutely. So we're giving there you a profit idea. You can secure handles on hotels and then sell it to them.
Oh my goodness.
Business ideas on this.
Business ideas.
This one is similar. So I need separate channels for different facilities, and this one comes up so often in places such as Dubai, where you have hotels that can have 15 different restaurants, right? And so very so often we get this question, I hear it of like, now do I need an Instagram account for each and every restaurant? Do I need an Instagram account also for the spa? Do I need a YouTube channel for every single okay, I don't know your thoughts on this, Tamara, but I have mixed thoughts and mixed feelings about this. Again, it depends. Meaning, you don't want to overwhelm yourself, and we just said it right with the previous question. But there are cases where one of your restaurants or two of your restaurants are very different from the rest of the hotel. Let me make a very specific example. I was working in a hotel in Dubai. I had 12 restaurants and bars. Some of them were only open in the evening. And we had, for instance, a Lebanese restaurant was late evening till early morning, belly dancing and entertainment and everything, and definitely only a place for adults, not family friendly. Now, if you want to talk about that restaurant every day, say for instance, there's lots of entertainment, different singers, different entertainers. So obviously, you want to communicate that. You cannot communicate that on a daily basis on your Instagram feed of the hotel, right? So you would need separate channel for this. Doesn't mean that on the hotel channel you don't talk about hotel channels. You have to talk about all facilities you have, spa, restaurants, family friendly, not family friendly, evening, morning, you name it. You have to talk about everything because people they're entitled to know what you have, right? That's so for some entities, for some restaurants, you might need separate channels. They are again not all channels. You don't want to perhaps open. Well, there it was entertainment, so maybe YouTube might make. So then you see what makes sense for each restaurant.
Yeah.
Instagram makes sense, good. YouTube makes sense, good. You might even say, I don't know, I have a literary cafe littéraire. I don't know how you would say it in a literature cafe, for instance. You might say for that a podcast would be interesting because we have lots of interesting guests and they come to present their books and so on. So for each venue, right, you can have different channels. So let's not generalize the answer here to say no you don't or yes you do. I really think it depends on each and every venue. What do you think, Tamar?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think it really depends on the type of restaurant or the type of spa. The other thing too is if that restaurant or spa is getting a lot of visibility and it requires it, it may stand out in the crowd to you. You may start it off on just one platform, but it may get really popular. It may be trending. Then you might find that, hey, this is another reason for me to open an Instagram for that. And make sure that the costs are covered, the resources for that are covered maybe through the cost that it's making, right? So, or the money it's making, I should say. But yeah, I think there definitely no reason to have 15 or 20 Instagrams or LinkedIn profiles. It's really hard to manage. So you have to have a criteria for when a restaurant or a spa should have its own profile. So I agree with you 100% there.
Many hotels do end up having up to 15 different Instagram accounts. I know for a fact. In the Middle East, for a fact, I know it is the case. I also was in the situation where I had so many. The question then becomes, sometimes it's because everyone says we need, sometimes it's an ego thing. Every restaurant manager wants their own account.
Right.
So they say, I want. Sometimes the branding is so special that you do need separate Instagram account. So also that is to keep into consideration, right? The target audience and the branding. Yeah. So there are many considerations, right? There's no one size fits all answer, but I do agree that having 50 social channels for each every 15 is a lot, but there are cases.
Definitely. Yeah, no, that's a lot, and as I think about that, I think there's some solutions like Instagram, for instance, there's Instagram guides that you can use that you can probably set up for different properties. YouTube has the playlist that you can use. So you can find ways in the beginning to kind of be smart, to have those one or two channels. And then again, as you see the data, right, this is where data comes in again, understanding the things that you should then say, this deserves its own profile. So I think there's some options there, but I understand that there may be times where it just needs to happen.
Absolutely. And now we're speaking about the content to create. So question that we get is, how do I know what content to create? So let's say I have now opened an Instagram account for this and this venue. I have a YouTube channel. So how do I know what content I need to create for the different channels tomorrow?
Yeah, it's really about starting to understand the content that your audience wants to hear, right? Your target audience. So, what are they searching for? What are they looking for? What's really interesting to them? The other thing you want to know is you want to know what's trending in your industry, and do you have any of those things that you can start fitting into? If you understand what's trending in the industry, you can start creating content to support that. And if you understand what your target audience is looking for, you can also start creating content to support that. You can look at keywords. What are people searching, right? Understand some of the search volumes out there using Google to do that. You can use tools like answerthepublic.com. What are people searching for in travel, in hospitality? Once you start understanding the conversation that's happening about your hotel or your destination, then you can start really leaning into that and creating content that supports that, because search volume really lets you know this is what people are actually looking for. So the questions are out there, and it's about you becoming the answer.
And very important, I think, especially if you're just starting out, let's say it's a new hotel opening, and it's the first time as a marketer that you're working on a hotel opening, is start with what you can create. Yeah, this is also very important. Don't try to overwhelm yourself with too many things. Yeah, so as Samara said, see what people are looking for, researching, and if you are able now, format-wise, if your strength is photography right now, then start putting out photo content. Right. Don't say I'll wait until I get the most amazing videographer who's able to create this and that. Right, because you can see it, for instance, now a lot of people are saying, I can't create Instagram Reels, for instance. I can't create TikTok, so I won't create content. No, that's bullshit. Sorry, excuse my French. Like,
Is that
you,
French?
I think it's universal language. No, but it's true. It's something that makes me so angry is to say I cannot do what is trending now as format, so I won't do.
Right.
Or I don't have the perfect setup. I don't have the perfect this and that. The same applies to individual creators, such as also hotels, right? I don't start creating content with what you have, right? Decent content, yeah, and then you will fine tune it.
Absolutely.
So start where you are with what you have. The same also applies to hotels. Uh,
Absolutely.
and with time, you will see what works better, what doesn't resonate with.
Absolutely. And another thing, I like to go back to the competition. Look at the competition, see what's working for them, right? Look to see what's getting in engagement. What are people clicking on? And start looking to see how does that look for my hotel? And I think, Maret, you're right. Content creation should be simple. Sometimes we're so caught up in it has to be perfect. We're marketers. We want it to be beautiful. We want it to be all those things. But what we see right now is that people want that authentic, real life, happening in the moment, right? So you want to go for that authenticity. So use what you have. I think that's such a valid point. And pay attention to the competition. You can get a lot of information around your competition, and you can build from there, right?
No, absolutely. Now, competition is very, very, very important. So we have one more question, which relates to also this question, because it's how to make the most of the hotel website. Now, there are different ways of seeing how you can make the most of a website. So we spoke of social channels, which do not replace a hotel website. They complement the website and they have a totally different purpose, let's be honest, right? So you still need a hotel website, yeah? But you also have to make sure that this website is, first of all, optimized, because that's why you need a website, so that when people are researching and Googling city hotel, Paris, they can find your hotel. Yeah? If there's a Japanese restaurant in Milan, they find your Japanese restaurant, right? That's why you need a website, but it needs to be optimized. So how do you make the most of it? You need to make sure that it's optimized for search engine, right? Result pages. This is super important. I think Tamara, you also give the marketing space AMA sessions on keyword strategy. So the way you optimize, there are several ways, but getting the right keywords is super important. Do you want to say a couple of words on keywords,
Yeah,
Tamara?
absolutely. Knowing what people are searching for, right? So it's kind of reverse engineering. People are already there. Think about how often you use Google or whatever your search engine is. Think about those keywords that you're putting in there, right? People are thinking about that. So you want your website to show up for those right keywords. That is a huge opportunity because those people are showing intent. They're intentionally going to the search engine to put those words in there. So you want to make sure you're showing up for those intentional people because chances are they're looking to give their email address, start building trust, start getting to know you, and then maybe get to a place where they want to stay at your hotel. So optimizing for keywords is important. And the great thing about Google is that as much as we give it data, it gives us data as well. So we have a clear understanding of how many people are searching for those keywords on a monthly basis. So we're really using data again to say if we have 40,000 people searching for a keyword, for instance, you want to say, how can I maximize and maybe get 2% of those people to click on my website, to click on my link? So really important that you are optimized for search engine.
Another way to make the most of your hotel website, of course, is content. So there it's different. Whereas with content that you're creating for social media, you can test some things. You don't have to make anything look perfect. It's all about trial and error. With the website, if you're showcasing your rooms, then you do want to make sure that the photography is top notch. You want to make sure that your descriptions don't have typos, spelling mistakes, that you are telling really the story of your hotel in a compelling way. Yeah, because the last thing you want is that people get on your website and see ugly images. They see videos that aren't running. So also there, optimizing also means, for instance, the image size needs to be the right size, right pixel wise and data wise, so that the loading time also of your website is quick enough, short enough, so that people don't have to wait ages for images to load, right? That's also another way of making the most of your website. And then, Tamara, was thinking in a completely different context of why it's important to have a website. Let's say you want to share a menu, for instance, of your. So you upload it on your website, and you can create a nice thumbnail. So when you're sharing it on social media, you don't share the PDF, for instance, right? Or you can share the link to the menu, and you can make the most of the thumbnail, right? The preview that comes on social. So sometimes the website is useful if there are things, or an article, maybe there was an article with an interview with your executive chef. You can, if you have the PDF, you can upload it on your website and create a nice thumbnail to promote that on social media. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I love that. The website is really the first step into your hotel online, right? So it's the time that you get to set the tone and create that experience. And that experience, while it should be beautiful, it should also be mobile friendly,
Yeah.
really, really easy for the user to move through your booking process. Because think about our behaviors now. As soon as something gets a little bit crazy, we're like, hey, I'm on to the next thing. So you really want to make sure that your website is that space that keeps them engaged, but keeps them moving through the process. I think the booking engine is so important in a hotel as well, right? The right images, the right video, giving people that feel, that experience, right? What does the service, think about the service as starting on your website. So important for you to have a really, really strong website, especially when there's so many other parts to your online presence. That's your hub, and that's where you really want to drive them, because it's also probably it costs you the least for people to book on your website.
No, absolutely. So website, yes, needs to be optimized. It doesn't replace social media. Social media does not replace your website. Have a couple of bonus questions, Tamara, for you as a frequently asked question. So these we did not prepare. So I like to
Oh boy. All
No,
right. So
no, they're related. They're related to the question about do I have to be in all channels? Because it's something that came to my mind now because I remember a couple of people, a couple of junior marketers asking me these things. Are there channels that just don't make sense for hotels? For instance, LinkedIn pages is something where a lot of marketers have trouble with. Yeah, they would open a LinkedIn page for the hotel and then they would ignore it, neglect it because they don't feel it makes sense. Aside from posting vacancies, what are your thoughts on that? For instance, LinkedIn page for hotels.
So I think LinkedIn is just such an important channel across the board, right? There's an advertising opportunity on LinkedIn, and most people tell you their titles, and you can also gauge how much money they're making. So if you understand your target audience really well, you can start tapping in and targeting those people specifically because chances are they're taking vacations, they're taking trips. So if you're looking at, let's say managers and above, you understand they're making a certain type of income and they may be your target audience. So I think there is some opportunity there on LinkedIn if hotels really want to consider that. There may be some value around maybe just running advertising and then finding ways to post and engage. LinkedIn is also a very different platform than before, right? It's that place where you can create an experience. It's the professional Facebook. So there's some real opportunity to stand out, to host conversations, to do things that really, set you different from the pack competition, right? I'm like, I lost, I fumbled there, but
Yeah,
not for me.
absolutely. Because we think of hotels just as we tend to think of hotels as just rooms and maybe also restaurants, but there's also all the meetings and event space, right? And LinkedIn is definitely a good one there because you have a lot of decision makers who might organize incentive trips for their teams. They can organize workshops. It doesn't have to be any massive, workshop.
Yeah,
It can
agreed,
just
100%. Yeah, and that could be a place where, again, the concierge, the staff, the people of the hotel can also engage with your properties there as well, so you can kind of really see that team spirit. So LinkedIn is a really great opportunity, I believe, for hotels if leveraged the right way.
And also for employer branding. Now,
Yeah.
my final question is because tomorrow you're hosting a talk, a roundtable on social influencers, right? And you're asking whether they're con artists, the con artists. So, what about social influencers? Do they work for us? Is they a good idea for hotels or not a good idea? Is it useless to work with them?
Well, it really depends on your goals. What are you trying to accomplish, right? Are you trying to get visibility for your brand? Are you trying to get heads in beds with these influencers? And you really have to understand what the influencer brings to the table. What can they do for you? What are they doing for other hotels, other brands like yours, other people in the hospitality industry? Once you are clear on your goals, then it makes sense to work with them. Also vetting them, right? Going through and understanding what they've done. What are their metrics? They should have good metrics as well. They should be able to come to you and say, I've been able to increase awareness for this hotel, and here's how I measured this awareness, right? You don't just want to have someone come to your hotel and stay and have a good time, and then you don't reap the benefits of it. You want to understand, what hashtags are going to be leveraged, how are they going to show if they're pushing visibility and reach for your hotel, and if they're saying, hey, I'm going to drive people to come to stay at your hotel, how does that equate to heads in beds, right? So I think it's about finding the right people. So I think absolutely, we'll get into the conversation a little bit more tomorrow. Are they con artists? I don't know.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you know this that before entering the hotel industry, I was for 2.5 years travel blogging, almost full timeish, right? I think I mentioned this to you before, or maybe not. I don't.
No, every I feel like every week you give me something new. So thank you. Travel
This is
blogger. Doctor, travel blogger.
so the new thing of so yeah, so 2.5 years, and that's how I got to know hotels, and then I got into the industry. But that was many years ago, and I remember there were many hotels that had not worked with bloggers before. It was really at the start of travel blogging. I remember even once Italian hotel group were like, a blogger, what exactly do you do? And yeah, what? So there was a lot also fascination at that time because it was new, yeah. And um, I was quite successful that time as a travel blogger, and I worked with so many hotels. And I remember that at that time we were really, those few bloggers that were out there were really blogging. So that we had a blog. It's not just Instagram. Right now you have, it's mostly influencers just on Instagram, right? I remember, that's why we'll talk about it maybe tomorrow morning, your conversation. But I was writing down with very specific cases of who went to which hotel or restaurant because of my posts and my blog posts and my,
There you
although,
go.
no, that's, and I remember, I still to date, I remember, and I remember also someone who had booked several rooms, something like 15 rooms at a luxury resort. It was a big executive retreat or something. And because, and this person wrote, it's because of after my post in a luxury resort in Dubai. So it works, but you really need to, as you say, write down, give very specific examples, yeah.
Yep.
And if, as a blogger, you see that you're not able to mention, then you have a problem.
Absolutely. And on the hotel side, right, this is where they need to look at their analytics and tracking as well, too, right? What are the tracking tools that you're giving to these influencers, right? Are there affiliate links? Are there links with just tracking codes on it so you can actually see, did this come back to my website? You can tell if it worked or not. So on your side as a hotel, you can protect yourself as well to see if that influencer works for you. And if they work, amazing, you keep it moving and you work with them again. If it doesn't work for you, then you say, hey, you didn't drive that much traffic, you didn't do any of the things that you were supposed to do, and then you move on from that person. So there are ways for you as a hotel to protect yourself and also be able to measure effectively the effectiveness of any of these social media influencers.
No, absolutely. No, we can talk about it more. And this month, August 26th, 2012, was when I actually started my blog. So you see that was it's my 10-year anniversary of content creation. Although I
So
changed
you're
it.
one of the first you're one of the first social media influencers.
You know, it was nice back at that time. There weren't many, and there was no influencer. I don't think there was the word influencer. There was
Right.
blogger, yes, but influencer, no. And I don't think any of us consider ourselves to be like influential, but we did drive decisions of our, we had niches, you know, like I
Right.
was based in Switzerland back that time, but I was traveling to the Middle East a lot, right? And I was only doing city breaks. So, you know, when as a blogger, when you have your niche and the people know the way that you travel, that it's luxury hotels, that it's in the Middle East or it's the European cities, then of course they come to you for advice, right? Because they know that's what you know, yeah.
Right.
Uh,
So
so
you were influencing in the
yeah,
best
so that,
possible way,
now
right?
you have people who call
Great
themselves
content.
influencer and they're not influencing no one.
Right. Right. 100%. Well, you're kind of going into our topic tomorrow, but
Yeah,
that's
tomorrow's
right.
we'll
It's
see.
one of
We
those
keep it for tomorrow. Yeah.
there's no influence there, so it's also understanding the person that you're talking to, right? Can they influence a buying decision, right? That's really, really
That's
important.
all they need to influence, yeah, because everything else we don't care, right? Cool. So thank you so much, Tamara, for watching. So for participating. Thank you to those who were watching. You can tell I had a busy week. We will keep this will stay on my feeds and on our LinkedIn page. Please do follow the LinkedIn page of Hotel Marketing Space, and please also do follow our YouTube channel. You can binge on all the episodes way better than Netflix. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you.
Pleasure. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.